Tonight, I'm about to reveal 10 silent signals of female attraction that most men completely misunderstand. And once you understand them, your dating life will never be the same again. Attraction is not spoken, it is revealed. And the biggest mistake most people make is listening to words while ignoring behavior, even though behavior never lies. A woman can say she is fine, she can say she is busy, she can say she is unsure, yet her body, her tone, her timing, and her energy will quietly expose the truth long before her mouth ever does. Non-verbal attraction is not dramatic. It is subtle, instinctive, automatic, and deeply emotional. It shows up in how long she holds eye contact when she thinks you're not paying attention, how her face softens the moment you enter the room, how her posture opens when she feels emotionally safe in your presence. You can't fake these reactions because they come from the unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind always responds first to attraction before logic ever gets a chance to interrupt it. You see, when a woman is attracted, her body begins to lean toward connection without her asking it to. Her feet point toward you even when she's speaking to others. Her shoulders relax when you speak. Her breathing becomes slower when she feels calm with you. Her voice drops slightly in pitch when she is emotionally engaged. These aren't learned behaviors. They are reflexes, and reflexes only activate when the nervous system feels a pull. Attraction lives in the nervous system before it ever lives in the heart or the mind. That's why you can feel tension in the air before you ever hear a single romantic word. That's why you can sense when someone is drawn to you even before they admit it to themselves. Non-verbal attraction also shows itself in timing. When someone is drawn to you, their responses become quicker without pressure. Their availability becomes flexible without explanation. Their attention becomes focused without effort. You don't have to chase energy that is already moving toward you. You don't have to force conversation when curiosity is already alive. When attraction is present, communication feels light, even when the topics are deep, and silence feels comfortable rather than awkward. You will notice that she listens differently, not waiting for her turn to speak, but absorbing what you are saying because engagement has replaced politeness. Even discomfort can be a form of non-verbal attraction. Nervous laughter, shifting posture, stumbling over words, looking away and then glancing back again. These are signs of emotional awareness clashing with emotional restraint. Many women are taught to control their expressions of desire, but control does not eliminate reaction. It only delays confession. The body always confesses first. That's why a woman may deny interest while still leaning into your personal space, mirroring your gestures, matching your energy, and softening her emotional defenses around you. These contradictions are not confusion, they are suppression. Men who understand that attraction is mostly nonverbal stop begging for clarity and start watching patterns. They stop interrogating words and start studying consistency. They stop asking, "Does she like me?" and start asking, "What does her behavior repeatedly show me?" Because attraction is not proven through statements made in emotional highs, but through behaviors repeated when no one is watching. It is revealed in who she makes time for when she's tired, who she feels relaxed around when she's overwhelmed, who she naturally leans toward when she doesn't need anything in return, who she allows into her emotional space without explaining why, who she mirrors when she forgets she's being observed, who she becomes softer around without planning to be, who she opens up to without rehearsing vulnerability, who she feels safe enough to disagree with without fearing abandonment, who she invests emotional energy into when there is no audience, no validation, no immediate reward involved. A woman rarely gives her full emotional investment up front, and this is not manipulation, deception, or confusion. It is instinctive emotional intelligence. Before she commits her heart, her time, her vulnerability, and her trust, she quietly observes how a man responds under pressure, uncertainty, disagreement, distance, and emotional tension. Her tests are not announced, they are revealed through everyday moments that look ordinary to the untrained eye, but carry enormous emotional weight. She watches how you react when plans change, when she disagrees with you, when she pulls back slightly, when she is stressed, when she challenges your authority, when she expresses doubt, when she shows vulnerability, when she creates emotional friction. These tests are not meant to break you, they are meant to measure you, to see whether your confidence is stable or performative, your strength is grounded or reactive, your patience is genuine or conditional, your masculinity is controlled or fragile. Many men fail these tests not because they are bad men, but because they don't realize they are being tested at all. They think attraction is a straight line, when in reality it is a series of emotional checkpoints. A woman may delay replies not to play games, but to see if you spiral into insecurity. She may challenge your decisions not to dominate you, but to evaluate your emotional leadership. She may withdraw warmth briefly, not to punish you, but to observe whether you chase validation or remain steady in your self-worth. She may question your intentions more than once, not because she doubts you, but because consistency cannot be proven through a single moment. Emotional safety is not built on promises. It is built on patterns, and tests are how patterns are revealed. These tests are not logical exams, they are emotional experiences. A woman tests how it feels to disagree with you. She tests how safe it feels to express uncertainty around you. She tests whether your kindness collapses under pressure. She tests whether your attention becomes resentment when it is not immediately reciprocated. She tests whether your strength is stable when she is emotional. She tests whether your composure disappears when your ego feels threatened. She tests whether you lead with calm assurance or react with defensive energy. And every reaction you give becomes data, not judgment, not punishment, simply information that tells her whether emotional investment with you would feel secure or unsafe. The truth is, women don't test because they enjoy conflict. They test because emotional attachment is risky. When a woman invests emotionally, she is not just giving affection. She is giving access to her fears, her insecurities, her hopes, her disappointment, her vulnerability, her emotional labor. Her tests are how she protects that investment before it is made. A man who becomes offended by being tested reveals that he does not yet understand what emotional safety truly costs. A man who becomes angry at being evaluated shows that his confidence depends on approval. A man who becomes desperate during tests exposes that he values attention more than self-respect. But the man who remains centered, consistent, unshaken, and emotionally grounded without becoming cold or detached, demonstrates the exact stability that makes investment feel safe. When a woman begins to reduce her testing, it is not because attraction disappeared, it is because trust has begun to form. The reduction of tests is the reward for emotional reliability. She no longer needs to measure your reactions because your character has become predictable in a healthy way. She no longer needs to observe whether you will disappear under pressure because you have proven that you remain present. She no longer needs to provoke emotional responses to see what lives beneath your surface because your behavior has already spoken clearly over time. And that is when emotional investment begins to deepen quietly, steadily, without drama, without performance, without control, without uncertainty, because emotional safety has replaced emotional curiosity and trust has replaced emotional testing. Attention is loud, flashy, emotional, and easy to fake. But consistency is quiet, stable, restrained, and impossible to pretend for long. Anyone can overwhelm a woman with excessive messages, sudden confessions, dramatic gestures, and intense interest in the beginning. But what truly shapes attraction over time is not how loudly someone shows up once. It is how reliably they show up again and again without performance. Consistency builds emotional safety because the nervous system relaxes when it knows what to expect. Attention excites the mind for a moment, but consistency calms the heart over time. A woman may feel flattered by attention, but she feels secure through consistency, and security is what allows attraction to deepen rather than burn out. Many men confuse intensity with value. They believe that the more they message, the more they chase, the more they compliment, the more available they become, the more desired they will be. Yet intensity without stability often creates emotional pressure rather than emotional desire. Consistency, on the other hand, creates trust without needing to announce it. It shows up in keeping promises without drama, in following through without reminders, in being emotionally steady when circumstances are unpredictable, in maintaining the same respect when emotions are high or low. When a woman sees that your energy does not spike only when you want something and vanish when you are frustrated, she begins to relax into your presence because she no longer feels like she has to earn your decency. Attention seeks reaction. Consistency builds connection. Attention wants validation. Consistency offers reliability. A woman may enjoy being pursued for a moment, but what keeps her emotionally invested is knowing that she will not be emotionally abandoned the moment things become inconvenient. Consistency means your words match your actions. Your interest does not fluctuate with your mood. Your presence does not depend on her performance. Your affection does not disappear when you feel challenged. Your communication does not evaporate when life becomes busy. Your character does not collapse under discomfort. This is why consistency feels rare, because it requires discipline, emotional regulation, and maturity instead of emotional impulse. From a woman's perspective, inconsistency feels like emotional instability, no matter how charming it is packaged. When attention comes in unpredictable waves, it creates confusion, anxiety, and hypervigilance. She never knows where she stands. She never knows whether warmth will be followed by distance. She never knows whether today's affection will turn into tomorrow's silence. The nervous system becomes alert instead of relaxed, and attraction cannot grow in a state of emotional uncertainty for long. Consistency signals safety because safety is found in predictability. When she knows that your behavior will not dramatically change based on her availability, her mood, her boundaries, or your ego, emotional trust begins to quietly anchor itself inside her. Consistency also reveals self-respect. A man who is consistent is not trying to impress, he is expressing who he already is. He does not disappear when he feels ignored. He does not overextend when he feels excited. He does not withdraw affection as punishment. He does not increase effort as desperation. He remains aligned with his values regardless of emotional winds. This steadiness communicates leadership without control and confidence without arrogance. Over time, this creates a deeper magnetic pull than fleeting passion ever could, because steady energy becomes familiar, and familiar energy becomes safe, and safe energy becomes emotionally addictive. Emotional safety is the invisible force that determines whether attraction fades quickly or deepens quietly, and most people underestimate its power because it does not announce itself with fireworks or drama. A woman does not become attached to a man simply because he is charming, attractive, or confident on the surface. She becomes attached when her nervous system relaxes in his presence, when her emotions feel protected instead of judged, when her vulnerability feels received instead of exploited. Emotional safety is what allows her to remove the armor she learned to build through disappointment, betrayal, and inconsistency. When she feels emotionally safe, she no longer has to calculate every word, defend every feeling, or prepare for emotional impact. And that sense of psychological relief becomes more intoxicating than any compliment or romantic gesture ever could. Many men believe attraction grows through excitement and intensity alone, but excitement without safety creates anxiety, not attachment. Emotional safety creates space for a woman to exhale. It is felt in how a man responds when she is overwhelmed instead of composed, when she is emotional instead of agreeable, when she is uncertain instead of confident. Does he listen without interrupting? Does he calm instead of escalate? Does he stay present instead of withdrawing? Does he try to understand instead of trying to win? Safety is built in moments where a woman expects judgment but receives patience, where she anticipates rejection but feels acceptance, where she prepares for conflict but experiences calm. These moments rewire emotional associations inside her, teaching her that closeness does not always lead to pain. A woman becomes emotionally bonded, where she feels seen without being exposed, understood without being interrogated, supported without being controlled. Emotional safety does not mean the absence of boundaries. It means the presence of respect within those boundaries. It means she knows you will not weaponize her vulnerability in future conflicts. It means she knows her fears will not become leverage in arguments. It means she knows her emotions will not be minimized, mocked, or dismissed when they are inconvenient. It means she trusts that her softness will be protected rather than consumed. This level of safety invites depth because it removes the subconscious fear that intimacy will later be punished. Emotional safety also appears in emotional consistency. A woman feels safe when your reactions are proportionate, when your temperament is stable, when your communication does not swing between extremes. If your warmth feels predictable rather than conditional, if your silence does not feel like punishment, if your affection does not feel like a bargaining tool, she stops bracing for impact and starts leaning into connection. The absence of emotional volatility creates room for emotional trust to quietly grow. She no longer feels the need to test constantly because your behavior no longer sends mixed signals. Her nervous system stops scanning for danger, and when danger scanning stops, attachment begins. The magnetic pull of emotional safety is that it feels rare. Many people can offer excitement. Few can offer steadiness. Many can flirt. Few can regulate their emotions when triggered. Many can show interest. Few can remain kind under stress. When a woman encounters emotional safety, her body recognizes it as refuge, even if her conscious mind has not yet labeled it as attraction. She may feel drawn without understanding why. She may feel calmer than usual around you without being able to explain it. She may find herself sharing things she never planned to reveal. This is because her nervous system is perceiving safety long before her intellect analyzes the connection, and the body always responds to safety before the mind rationalizes desire. Desire cannot survive where respect does not exist, no matter how strong physical attraction may be in the beginning, because without respect, attraction slowly transforms into emotional unease, distrust, and power imbalance. Respect is not about politeness alone. It is about how seriously a man takes a woman's boundaries, opinions, emotions, time, and individuality when there is nothing to gain immediately in return. A woman can feel drawn to charisma for a moment, but what determines whether that attraction deepens or dies is whether she feels valued as a human being rather than as validation, entertainment, or possession. When respect is present, desire feels safe enough to grow. When respect is missing, desire becomes defensive, guarded, and eventually exhausted. Respect is revealed most clearly in how a man behaves when he does not get his way. When she says no, when she sets limits, when she disagrees, when she hesitates, when she changes her mind, when she prioritizes her life. Does his tone shift into pressure or patience? Does his energy turn cold or remain steady? Does his interest withdraw as punishment or stay emotionally mature? A woman watches these moments closely because they reveal whether your attraction to her is rooted in admiration or entitlement. Respect means her autonomy does not threaten your confidence. It means her independence does not trigger your insecurity. It means her boundaries do not feel like rejection to your ego. And when a woman feels that her no is just as safe as her yes, desire no longer has to protect itself through resistance. A woman can sense disrespect long before it becomes obvious. It shows up in subtle interruptions, in dismissive humor, in minimizing her emotions, in subtle power plays, in impatience with her perspective, in treating her reactions as inconveniences instead of communication. Even attraction loses its warmth when it feels conditional on compliance. When respect is missing, desire starts to shrink because the emotional environment becomes unsafe. A woman may still feel drawn physically, but her heart begins to close to protect her dignity. And once emotional self-protection activates, the depth of attraction can no longer expand freely. Respect also lives in consistency of character. It means you speak about her with the same regard whether she is present or absent. It means you do not test her worth through jealousy games. It means you do not tolerate mockery of her from others to preserve social approval. It means you do not push past emotional discomfort for personal gratification. Respect is not loud. It is disciplined. It is the quiet refusal to exploit access simply because it is available. It is the restraint that protects connection from becoming consumption. And this restraint is one of the strongest builders of long-term desire because it communicates that a woman's value is not dependent on how much she gives, but inherent in who she is. A woman becomes deeply drawn where she feels honored rather than managed, chosen rather than hunted, appreciated rather than pursued at any cost. Respect changes the emotional tone of attraction. It removes the desperation from desire and replaces it with calm confidence. It allows flirtation to remain playful instead of predatory. It allows chemistry to feel mutual instead of extracted. It allows closeness to feel invited instead of coerced. When respect exists, desire no longer needs to prove itself through intensity because it is already anchored in mutual dignity. Respect also shapes how a woman experiences her own femininity around a man. When she feels respected, she does not feel pressured to perform, compete, or protect herself emotionally. She feels free to soften without feeling weak. She feels free to express without being judged. She feels free to trust without feeling naive. And in that safety, her desire deepens naturally because it is no longer battling self-protection, no longer negotiating for emotional fairness, no longer calculating risk with every moment of closeness. The concept of the frame is not about dominance in a superficial sense. It is about emotional leadership, consistency, and clarity of self that creates an environment in which attraction can grow naturally. A man who controls his frame is anchored in his values, his identity, and his principles, and he does not bend or collapse under the shifting moods, insecurities, or tests of others. This does not mean he ignores feelings or emotions, nor does it mean he behaves rigidly or aggressively. It means he maintains an internal equilibrium that communicates security without needing to manipulate or demand compliance. When a woman senses a man holding his frame with calm certainty, she is free to respond to him rather than react to instability. She begins to lean emotionally, to mirror energy, and to feel drawn because the frame provides clarity and safety that the mind and nervous system can trust. Controlling the frame is most visible in moments of tension or uncertainty. When she challenges him, questions him, or expresses doubt, the man who holds his frame does not panic, defend, or attempt to control her response. Instead, he acknowledges her perspective, maintains composure, and responds with clarity that is rooted in confidence rather than ego. This emotional steadiness is magnetic because it contrasts with the volatility most people experience in relationships. When a man wavers, becomes reactive, or loses himself in emotional highs and lows, he transfers anxiety to her. When he remains steady, he transfers security, and security is the foundation on which attraction grows. The frame is not control over her, it is control over self, and this control allows her freedom to engage without fear of unpredictability. A man's frame also sets the tone for emotional boundaries and priorities. Women respond positively to men who decide what they will tolerate, what they value, and how they behave when tempted, challenged, or pressured. This clarity is not arbitrary. It is a reflection of self-respect and self-awareness. She instinctively recognizes that a man who manages his energy, expectations, and decisions responsibly is capable of handling intimacy, conflict, and emotional complexity. By contrast, a man without a frame is a moving target, reactive, inconsistent, and uncertain. And this uncertainty activates defensive behavior in women. Emotional attraction cannot thrive where instability dominates because the subconscious mind constantly searches for safety and reliability, and the frame is the guiding structure that provides both. Women respond to the frame in subtle, measurable ways. They mirror energy, align their tone, and become more emotionally open when they sense a man's grounded presence. Their body language softens, their communication becomes more authentic, and their willingness to engage emotionally increases. The frame communicates a quiet assurance that makes it easier for her to drop defenses without fear. She no longer needs to test endlessly because the boundaries, standards, and values are clear, creating a predictable and safe environment. In this space, attraction is no longer conditional on manipulation or performance. It becomes natural, effortless, and magnetic. Controlling the frame also means resisting the impulse to over-explain, overcompensate, or seek approval. A man who maintains his frame does not try to prove worthiness at every interaction. He allows his actions, consistency, and presence to speak for him. Women respond to this by increasing emotional engagement, curiosity, and desire because the frame creates contrast to the uncertainty and chaos that often surrounds them. It demonstrates leadership without aggression, confidence without arrogance, and stability without rigidity. And these qualities are instinctively attractive because they communicate that a man is capable of holding space for connection, intimacy, and mutual respect in a way that does not demand her surrender but invites her participation.